You scroll through your feed without thinking much about it. Faces, smiles, carefully chosen moments. And then there's you. You watch. You react. Sometimes you even comment. But you don't post your own photo. Not because you can't. Not because you don't have any. You just don't. And when someone asks why, you don't really have an answer that feels true. So you give a simple one, or you shrug, or you change the subject. But late at night, when you're alone with your thoughts, the question comes back. Why does everyone else seem comfortable being seen while you hesitate? And the strangest part is, it doesn't always feel like fear. Sometimes it feels like control. Sometimes like clarity. Sometimes like distance that feels intentional. So what's actually happening here? Most people assume that if you don't post your photos, it means you're insecure, or shy, or afraid of judgment. But that explanation misses something important, because many people who avoid posting their photos aren't uncomfortable with how they look. They're uncomfortable with what visibility demands. And this pattern didn't start with social media. Social media just made it obvious. What looks like absence is often a quiet psychological strategy. Some people are naturally self-contained. From the outside, they seem private. Low drama. Hard to read. They don't feel the urge to announce themselves. They prefer watching over participating. Internally, their mind is always active. They notice patterns. They read between lines. Growing up, attention may have come with expectations, or explanations, or pressure to perform. So they adapted, not by disappearing, but by staying contained. Not posting photos preserves a sense of inner ownership. Their identity stays theirs, untouched, uncommented. But observation feels safe until you realize how rarely you're observed in return. Others are boundary keepers. They're not antisocial. They're selective. They share deeply, just not publicly. Their relationships are intentional and private. Different people see different sides of them. Early on, they may have learned that overexposure led to misunderstanding, or misuse, or loss of control. So they built boundaries that others don't see. Posting a photo feels like opening a door they worked hard to close, because once an image is out there, control disappears. Who sees it? How it's interpreted? How long it lasts? But when boundaries become too effective, they don't just keep things out. They can keep connection out too. Then there are future-focused minimalists. They think ahead, often without realizing it. Will this still matter later? Will I regret this being permanent? Does this represent who I'm becoming? They're less interested in documenting the present and more interested in preserving momentum. In earlier environments, stability may have required restraint, not drawing attention, not making noise, not leaving traces. So they optimize for continuity. Not posting photos isn't about hiding, it's about reducing noise. But if moments are never marked, growth can become invisible, even to yourself. Think of attention like mental weight. Every image you post invites interpretation, reaction, comparison, and expectation. That weight adds up. Psychologists call this cognitive load, the total mental effort your system is already carrying. When that system is full, visibility feels expensive. There's also something called temporal agency. It's the feeling that you decide which version of yourself gets remembered. Posting a photo freezes a moment in time, and for some people that feels less like expression and more like surrender. That's why awareness doesn't automatically change the behavior, because this isn't a habit, it's regulation. If you've recognized yourself in even one of these patterns, the next part explains why it's so hard to break, even when you understand it. At some point, your nervous system learned something important. Visibility wasn't neutral. It came with demands, judgment, or emotional unpredictability. So your system adapted. It learned how to stay present without being exposed, to participate without being captured, to exist without leaving a trail. This wasn't avoidance, it was protection. And for a long time, it worked. Here's the part most people never hear. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not secretly afraid of being seen. You're responding to old conditions with a system that once kept you safe. What looks like distance is often regulation. What looks like detachment is often adaptation. The goal was never to disappear. It was to stay intact. So the question isn't why you don't post your photos, it's which one are you? The observer, the boundary keeper, or the minimalist? And what would visibility mean now? Not then? We explain the hidden psychology behind everyday habits most people never question.